All right, Steph, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited about our topic about what and when to post. Would you share with our listeners a little bit about you and how you got into business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, thank you for having me. My name is Steph, and I own Viim. Viim is a marketing agency. Viim stands for Visual Intentional Integrated Marketing. And it's silly when people ask how I got into marketing. I always share, when I was 10, I started a babysitting business. And I know it sounds silly, but at 10 years old, I knew that I didn't know. There was something innate in me that just said, you have to have a business card. You have to have a flyer. My flyer had those little tear-offs with my parents' phone number so that they could get a hold of me. And I posted them around our little neighborhood. I mean, we had probably like 40 homes in the neighborhood, and I probably put a flyer on every post, like it's not needed. But I had punch cards to incentivize, people.
Wow, at 10?
At 10, yes. And I won't take full credit for the conception of it. My mother bought me the Babysitters Club CD-ROM. So totally going back to CD-ROM days. And they walked you through and gave you the tools. It was a software. It's like the 1990s Canva for babies. It really walked you through, and that's why, not only that, like I knew that this was a part of what I needed to do to be seen seriously in my babysitting business at 10, right? And so I think I got into marketing innately. I think there was something about me that loves marketing, that loves being sold to, that loves being educated. Mm-hmm. And those two things really are what marketing is. In there's several aspects of what marketing is, but those are two important pieces. Mm-hmm. And so I formally started, my very first job, I was guest relations, answering phone. We even had a fancy title for reception. And I just started seeing this need for a newsletter. Mm-hmm. And that from there grew my formal marketing career into a marketing coordinator position. And then, eventually the director of a company's marketing department, and then starting Viim. So awesome. It's been a bit of a journey. And through those many years, I started, conceptually in my brain, there was the marketing element, but execution wise, I started as a graphic designer, and then got my hands on a camera and started implementing photography into design, which then created this opportunity for like layout production type work. And so it's just evolved.
That is awesome.
It's a really long answer.
Like, I love that, because I love to see, and I love to also show the progression, right? Because most people don't get into their careers on like a straight line. Like, I know for definite, at this age that I want to do X, Y, Z. It's usually you're trying a couple of things out. You like this part, but don't like this part. And you kind of, as a Lego it together, right? To come up with what it is that you ultimately want to do with your life. So I love hearing the full stories of what you do. So I know today this is kind of a hybrid session, because you are going to be showing us some stuff and getting down and dirty into the lesson today. So definitely, if you guys are listening to this episode, you'll definitely want to jump over to either dlmorales.com or to the YouTube channel to check out the video, because Steph is going to bless us with a little presentation here, a little relaxed presentation, because she's going to be teaching me, and I'm going to be asking questions and doing all that, and she's going to be showing us on the screen. So Steph, I'm just going to pass the torch to you and let you tell us all about how to determine what we are posting on social.
Yes. So I'm gonna make sure that you guys trust that you are gonna stay on, and you're gonna walk away from listening to this with some golden nuggets, some like very actionable if I do this, it's going to make my social life easier. And I don't mean out in the world, I mean social media life. And I'm saying that because I know there's a lot out there. And I'll be honest, Dana, when Dana was able to watch a very short snippet video or a snippet presentation of this presentation. And prior to that, I had asked the audience, what they wanted. And they were like, I don't want another how to do social. Everyone's telling me how, and no one's actually giving me any answers. And Dana, you can, remind me again or tell me if I'm wrong, but everyone in that group, including yourself, was like, no, I walked away with really
it was so valuable.
Yeah.
And it was 20 minutes. Like I don't even know if it was a full 20 minutes, but it was really good. Yeah.
Okay, good. So guys, stay with me, because before I just dive into the what and when to post and start really making that easier for you, I want to tell you about some of the foundational pieces that are really important to making your brand serve you. Viim does brand identity discovery. After we've discovered who you are, what you do, and why you do it, I house it in these brand identity discovery books that have everything from your fonts, your logos, your messaging, how your images are displayed, the different elements, visual elements within your brand, how those are massaged and worked through all of your marketing so that there are visual elements tied to your brand everywhere it exists. This is some foundational work that if you haven't done, we're going to get onto the social stuff, but I just want to instill in you, just like when you build a home, you have to have a blueprint and then a solid foundation before you start throwing up walls and trying to have a roof stay. Social media is just one arm out of your brand identity. And if you don't have the foundational work solidified, the really solid kind of strategy I'm going to give you for social media is going to want to reinvent itself over time and again and too often, which is going to leave you in fatigue. It's going to leave your consumers in brand fatigue, and you're not going to really know what I really stand for and what I really do. And maybe you know what you sell, but you don't know why. And those questions really help your audience resonate with wanting to purchase your product or service, which of course, that's why we do social, right?
Exactly.
If you're a business owner, you're here, you're trying to utilize this marketing vertical. Social media is not different than newspaper back in the day. It's not different than radio ads back in the day. It's different in how it functions, but there has to be an intention, just like all the other mediums that you have to choose from. So quick plug, if you are floundering with your identity as a business and you're looking to solidify that, I have several ways to help you with that. And I would imagine after this, there's some sort of link to how you can get a hold of me. Or of course,
we'll definitely put that on your show notes page so that they can access you. Definitely.
And of course, you guys all know how to get a hold of Dana, so I'm sure she could connect us. But that is really, it's not just a matter, and whether me or anyone else, have someone work with you on some foundational pieces, because that is going to fuel everything we're going to start talking about now. Okay. So let me share my screen.
Yes.
Host disabled participant screen sharing. This is like the second you're on mute. It's like it's the second thing that we're all learning how to do.
Right. What the heck?
And that's the fun with technology too, and in the world that we're in. Here we go. Is that it is ever evolving and changing.
Yes,
okay,
it is.
You should see a beautiful mountain range and grow your business.
Yes.
And then are our faces showing? Are those in the way?
They are not.
Okay.
I don't think they are. I've minimized mine, so I think we're good to go.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're gonna just kind of dive in here. So I really just like to instill that, just like I said before, I'm not trying to bring another presentation where you leave feeling like you don't actually have anything actionable. I break this down to something that we've all learned in elementary school, right? Some easy elementary level tactics that we can take and apply to social. So I want to truly bring value to your business through this. I want to educate and ultimately empower you to see that you can do social and it not be it's a chore. It has to get done, but it's something that you can do where you're not recreating the wheel every time. And I also want you to just get excited about it. Once you see how simple we can break this down, it really does make it exciting. So in order to do that, we're going to do a blend of breaking down a example company in this strategy. And also we're going to play a little bit with Dana about the happiness bucket and maybe kind of use her for some examples. So in your social media strategy document that you receive when you work with them, the very first thing you see, before we dive there, this will slip. We're going to just go here. We're going to just jump in. The very first thing you see might look something like this. So this is for all the people who aren't watching. You come back and you get on screen and you look at what we're looking at. So right here it says, some days I amaze myself. Other days I put my keys in the fridge. And you might be asking yourself, how does this have anything to do with what and when to post? And why is there a skull in the lower left-hand corner? And, why am I forgetting things and putting my keys in the fridge? So this right here tells a lot about this brand, and we know nothing about what they do. We don't know what they sell. We don't know if it's products. We don't know if it's a service. We don't know. We can make some assumptions on maybe who their target audience is. We see in the language here, right? We have some maybe ditzy, maybe forgetful, busy. I would think someone who is having the days where they're putting their keys in their fridge, maybe they're really busy. I see amaze myself. So I see confidence. I see strength. I also see a balance here, right? Of having, I amaze myself, but then other days I'm just like, I would lose my head if my neck didn't keep it attached. What's the saying? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
We also have this kind of unique thing down here. We have this shape with a skull and crossbones. So I'm sensing maybe some danger or some, I want to say evil, right? I'm not sure what this all means. So this is an important slide and why we start your social media strategy document off with this, because it's a reminder of who you are. And this would look different for the happiness bucket, right? The happiness bucket, the first thing we read might be super clean and organized and very heartfelt and very comforting. This page tells you and is this constant reminder of the personality. This goes back to what we do here in this foundational work. This goes back to the messaging and the personality that is your brand and what encompasses it, and gives you that reminder on a regular. So we also then start diving into a bit of what's in here and put it right in this place. The nice thing about a social media strategy document, because remember, I'm going to give you some tips here, but ultimately where this is coming from is a custom social media strategy guide that we create for you. And I'm not trying to make this a sales thing, but that is what ultimately ends up becoming. And you can take the headers from this, you can take this, re-listen to it, jot down and start filling in the blanks for yourself, and create this for yourself.
Yeah.
So a brand statement, having an understanding of, well, what is Dangerous Designs? So now I can let you know that this brand that we're talking about is called Dangerous Designs. Their brand statement says, in a world where cranky toddlers, moody teens, and a demanding job reign supreme, one mom thought, enough. A new idea was born. Shirts that will hold up to the chaos that is the day-to-day life, with prints that say what's on all our minds. Fun, simple, rough and tumble, dangerous designs. So we have a statement here that reminds us of who are we and why do we do what we do. We have right here, well, what is dangerous designs? Dangerous designs is comfortable, unfussy, fun, a little sarcastic, no judgment zone, and believes that there is no one size fits all mom. And this right down here, this above all statement is so important that you really dive in and start to create a above all statement for your company. Her above all statement is we love our kids. There's another, like for the happiness bucket, your above all statement, let's just say, and I know you do a lot of digital organizing, right? But let's say, I used to say it would never happen, but I also never thought we'd be in the middle of a pandemic and we couldn't see each other for a year. So I'm overthinking things could never happen. So let's just say the internet was no longer, right? And digital, we went back to a day where digital wasn't here. Your above all statement would never be, I love digital organizing.
Right.
Yeah. And not only just because this fictitious world I created doesn't have it anymore. The root of why you do what you do is possibly, well, maybe you tell me.
Well, it's beyond digital, right? Although majority of what I do is baked into the digital side of things. It also is, physical, right? Because anything that's digital also, it technically is physical as well. So, yeah.
Well, and what I get a sense from when we work together, and I know we haven't gone through and solidified your brand identity, but I get a sense that you want people to be at peace and have things in order. You want people to find comfort and order, and through order, gain comfort. So your above all could be to seek order and have comfort or peace around that. And the nice thing is now that above all statement of wanting to have peace and order, and I know that's not necessarily yours, but we're just going to roll.
Work-life balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Work-life balance is a great one. Now, if all of a sudden our work life doesn't look digital anymore, the happiness bucket can continue to thrive because their above all was never around digital. It just was a vehicle on how work-life balance and organization and the tools that you give your audience come through. Just like with dangerous designs, they could, clothes could be banned and we could never get to wear clothes again, which would really make for a fun world. We're just like going crazy here. We're having a pandemic, no digital and no clothes.
Right. Just naked.
Yeah. Okay. So the caption for this podcast video is a world where we no longer have clothes. That might get to different viewers. But for this one, if clothes were banned and we no longer could have clothes, this brand, Dangerous Designs, their above all is about loving kids, right? So their vehicle on how they show that they love kids and that they are unfussy and have no judgment might change, but it still is rooted so deeply that they could function. They would just need to change their vehicle.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's deep, right? Some of you listening and watching this might be like, I just sell sub sandwiches, or I just make keychains, or what have you, right? Or but I'm a mom and I just want my pantry clean. Why is she telling me about these like big, why are we going so big here?
Right.
But our why and our purpose as business owners, as individuals, really is the fuel on why we do and what we do every day and why we wake up. So whether you recognize it or not, or you use it to lead what you do or not, I encourage you to look to it. And that's when we're talking about social, that is really important, because your social feeds are flooded with what you'll hear me say sometimes, which is buy my cheeseburger, buy my cheeseburger, buy my cheeseburger.
Yeah.
No one wants to buy your cheeseburger unless you tell me that I'm hungry first, or get me salivating, or tell me that you have a vegan patty and I don't eat meat, and now all of a sudden I might want to buy your cheeseburger. What have you, right? So let's dive in so that we don't go crazy here. This is the next slide that you would have in your social. And guys, if you're building this on your own, this is something that a lot of us have. And Dana, you're going to love this. This comes down to just that organization and not having to chase down things. That's why this is so valuable.
And listen, I'll give a plug. Organized Academy. We have a template for you to save this in there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So one thing like that, you and I probably have in common, Dana, I work with a lot of web designers. Okay. A lot of web designers will get hired on to build a website, and then the client that they're working with won't have any of this in one spot. Maybe they're like, well, I sometimes like blue and pink, and I do have a few logos. I'm not sure which one I use the most, but there's one I know I like. And well, I use different fonts because on Squarespace, they only have, Plato, and on my Canva, I only use Times New Roman or whatever. We package all of this up, and I encourage you to put everything in one clean spot. You use Google Drive. Whatever you use, put us all in one. Have a little cheat sheet where you have your most preferred common logo. Well, you have alternate and a logo mark.
Yeah.
And you have your colors defined, and you have your cheat sheet of what fonts you're using. So before we even dive into what and when to post, you have to know why you do what you do, who you are, remind yourself about your personality and the words and messaging you're putting out, and then the nitty-gritty of what do you visually tie yourself to, so that people can start to have brand recognition across not just your one feed, across all of your marketing efforts. So because remember, you might have Facebook and Instagram and let's say Pinterest. If I find a happiness bucket post on Instagram and then I see it over here on Pinterest, but they look completely different, I'm no longer even probably associated with two together. You've missed an opportunity to solidify and validate your stake in that consumer's experience by simply having a disconnect with your own brand. And then even more so, if you show up on, I see you in the grocery store and we get to chatting and you hand me your new business card, which I love, by the way. Then I decide to type in and I jump to the happiness bucket, and then all of a sudden it's different. I'm like, my first thing I'm probably thinking is, what did I must have typed a letter.
Right. Like I did something wrong.
Yeah. What did I do wrong? Right. And I just, I don't know how you are, and I'm sure maybe others are the same, but the first thing I want to do, the last thing I want to do first to my consumer is make them feel like they did wrong. I want their whole journey with me to feel very cohesive. And so that's why we have these pages that come before we get into the nitty-gritty of what and when to post. So guys, ultimately, that was a long way of me saying, get yourself organized. Get clear, get organized, have it all ready to go. Okay. Am I good so far?
Fabulous. And of course, I love the fact that we just spent some time talking about organization. So of course, that is perfectly fine.
It's very true. Now, this is some stuff that I won't sit on too long because it's so unique to you. So unique to you, Dana, for the happiness bucket. And for anyone listening, you have to spend some time looking at who is your target demographic. You have to know how to resonate with your audience. And that really starts with understanding who you are in a business sense, and then starting to understand that people want to know and like you before they can trust to buy your products and service. And oftentimes your target demographic have similar interests to who you are and what you put out there.
Yes.
The people who want to go to the happiness bucket, they don't want chaos in their life. They might have chaos in their life, but they don't want it.
They don't want it. Yeah.
So your target demographic might be a blend of a chaotic situation and seeking organization. It might be someone who's very organized who wants to teach people, right? Mm-hmm. So also recognizing that you might have different personas, different target demographics that you're wanting to draw attention to different aspects of your brand. So spend some time, guys, on really starting to hone in on your target demographic. And so then this is really the meat and potatoes of what and when to post. So it's really important to understand your platforms. It's really important to know, where are my people at primarily? And then if I'm going to have some secondary platforms, where are they? And really distinguishing and having an understanding that they're not all created equal. They're not all used the same. And we dive into more depth from that, but for this real meat and potatoes, we're just going to kind of focus on what's over here on the right of this page. So we're just going to jump into what I call the content mix. And this is truly going to answer the what of what and when to post. So for the happiness bucket, well, let's start here actually. We're using our example brand of Dangerous Designs. We know that they are unfussy, a little messy, unconventional, no judgment. We did some deep work on who they are, and we also did some deep work on their target audience. And these 4 categories that make up this pie chart give us a sense of what should we put out into the world to relate to those people. And not just to relate to those people, but also to share about who we are, what we sell, why we do what we do, and to evoke a sense of loyalty through similarities. So we break it out into percentages. The first one here is 40% chaos. You've already got a sense that we've got a lot of chaos going on in this brand, right? We have moms who have toddlers. The actual owner of this company, which is actually no longer, but she had a toddler and a tween when she started. So, she's got the different age gaps. So she's got diapers overflowing here. Sorry, totally diving in there. We got diapers overflowing over here. And then we have, someone over here wanting to borrow the car to go do this, that, and whatnot, right? So total different dynamics. That's a lot of chaos. And there's so many moms that can relate to that. Mm-hmm. And so the content mix for this brand for chaos is to relate to the consumer. We want to show you that we understand chaos. We know it exists. You're living in an insta-perfect world where you see moms perfectly done up with their kiddo on their hip and the other one doing their homework. The cat's licking her paws all perfectly in the corner, right? This brand recognized that is not the reality of their consumer. Mm-hmm. So the sections of your content mix are not always going to fall like 40, 30, 20, 10, as in this example. I have some clients whose percentages have several more buckets. I have some that are slim like this. And so, but what's important is to start looking at what are you already putting out. Mm-hmm. So chaos was a really good way for us to relate. Tribe was a really good way for us to support those who relate to us. So tribe is our way of saying, these are the people that we want to get to know and want to get to know us. So we want to talk to our tribe through quotes, through tips about being a busy mom, about expressing yourself, being honest with who you are, asking questions about, the best tips for toddlers, the things that really are real in their life, and giving them a platform and a place to share that. 20% of this brand's content mix is made up of user-generated content. So every product that was sold through this brand was incentivized to share their apparel and tag the brand. so that you can continue to evoke a sense of loyalty, and so that you have an additional content that you can share through your social. Now, the really fun part that people usually get blown away on here is our 10% here is what?
Product.
10% is
Selling.
Product.
Mm-hmm.
10% is buy my cheeseburger, buy my cheeseburger, buy my cheeseburger.
Not 90.
Not 90. Because before you want to buy your cheeseburger, you want to be hungry. You want to salivate for it. You want to know that it's going to fill the void that you have for the product that fills the void.
Yeah.
So to put out 10% of the time, to just be putting out t-shirts, to be putting out this content, sometimes goes a little backwards for a lot of people's thinking. So let's do a little fun exercise, and let's use the happiness bucket. We're not going to try to like actually narrow down and fit you into these buckets. But what we're going to start with, which anyone who's listening, I want you to do the same exercise. Start by just saying, like, what do you put out into the world through your social media now? What is some of the content that you do put out?
So I use a lot of inspirational quotes.
Okay.
I put out educational posts. So just teaching different concepts or different things that they can put into place from an organizational standpoint. I try to put out some life types of posts that just show me or my daughter or different things. But I'm going to tell you a place that I struggle is showing the almost like in this example, it would be kind of the chaos bucket because it's, because I don't have now I do have some, but I don't have a lot of areas where I can really show disorder, specifically in the business realm. I don't have a lot of examples of that. And so just trying to capture that to show people, hey, if this is you or do you relate to this, I've got an answer for you. Like that's where I struggle a little bit.
Okay. What else do you put out? Do you put out any testimonials of past
I do put out testimonials. I do put out, of course, some product information. I put out some free product information and then paid product information. Of course, anything that's free, I try to put more of that out than I do the paid. And then the lessons learned conversations in the podcast posts, I put those out as well. Awesome.
So what you want to do is, I was writing this down, right? So we've got quotes, education on simply educating on organization. What is it? How to get there? Some life. I heard you say some life, a little bit about you and your daughter. Examples of chaos, disorganization is an area that you kind of struggle with, but it's also an area that you clearly either have seen other organizers. I'm going to use the word competitors, but I like when you work with me, you get to learn that. I don't find the word competitors as a dirty word.
I don't
use it as a dirty word. Yeah, you might see other competitors who are finding a way to show examples, or you're having clients who are wanting those and you don't have them. Some testimonials, product info. We have some free and some paid. And then, of course, the efforts you do through your podcast and some of the some lessons learned. Actually, remind me what that was.
The lessons learned conversations are like just the different podcast episodes. So like yours would be considered a tech tip, right? But then we have some where it's just me talking with individuals and learning about their business and the history of things that they've done or learned in their business journey.
Gotcha. Right? Gotcha. So what we would then do is we would take what we have here and we would start to segment it out into sections that are like, right? So quotes, lessons learned, or testimonials and lessons learned combos with maybe some of like those two. I could see those going together because the testimonials are validating what the happiness bucket has done. And then the lessons learned is also probably rooting in some of these lessons I've learned now that I've worked with the happiness bucket, or before the happiness bucket was in my life. So we try to start to find similarities in what we're already doing. And then what we do is we start to determine a blend of how much of this content do I put out now. So if you go and you look at the last, and I just say, go back and do like a last quarter analysis. You can, if you're really posting a lot, you could do 30 days, but if you're not, because you don't know what and when to post, you're likely going to need to do like about a quarter. Go quantify the type of posts you've been putting out and determine how many quotes did you put out? How many times did you talk about education? How many times did you post about your life and your daughter? And see what your percentage is now. And then we're going to start to do some deep dives into understanding, why does my audience want to hear about this, or do they want to hear about this? And the biggest thing, if you are doing this on your own, is start somewhere. If your biggest pie chart piece happens to be quotes, because that's what's easy for you, start there, right? Start there and create 40% of your posts as quotes.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna, questions on that really quick, if any.
No, I don't think so.
And it's really, you know, this is the thing, this is custom to everyone. If I were to come in here and say, okay, these are the buckets, this is what you need to put in it, now go. I'm not going to truly be helping anyone, because if there was a perfect formula for success in social media, then we would have a whole lot more billionaires.
Exactly.
You know, it's something that you not only have to custom for yourself, you have to nurture it and recognize that it's a moving target, and it's something that you want to see how things perform and then make adjustments based on that performance.
Yeah.
So once we have this divided, so let's just, I should just use like an actual piece of paper so that I can show it. I have a whiteboard desk, and it's my favorite thing.
Oh, that sounds
ever.
awesome.
It's so awesome until you want to show someone.
Show something, you're like, how do I?
It'd be cool if it had its own, like, you know, projector screen.
Yeah.
But so I want you all, if you're listening and watching, literally just draw a circle. It's as simple as starting with a circle on the page. And then start by writing down the different things that we talked about. And then think about your percentages that you went through and looked. And if 40% of your quotes are in there, I want you to make a bubble, not a bubble, a pie piece. Pie piece for 40%. I think it's first. Oh wait, can they see me and the screen, or just the screen?
Honestly, I don't know. I can see you, but I'm not sure what the viewers can see. But your drawing looks like the picture. Perfect.
So what I want you guys to do is really just start creating a pie chart. This is what I said at the beginning, is we all learned about pie charts literally with pizza or pie. I'm pretty sure most of our elementary teachers knew that pizza was going to get us more than pie. So how many slices of your pizza are you using for quotes, right?
Yeah.
How many slices of your pizza do you need to sell your product or service? And is it too much? Is it too little? You have to start to nurture that. So this answers the what are we posting? Okay?
Yeah. Oh, I did just have one question. So on that previous slide, I saw that testimonials were kind of lumped in with the products. But when we were talking, you kind of lumped it in with a different grouping for me.
Yeah.
Is that what would be like for the listeners who maybe has more stuff? Like, what made you lump them differently, or does it matter?
So for this particular example brand, this was a brand new brand. So they didn't have a ton of testimonials. So we wanted to work with what we had. That's another thing, is you want your pie chart pieces to work with you. If one of your sections of your pie chart is the one you dread doing, I want you to reevaluate if it's needed. And if it's really needed, I want you to look to outsource, or I want you to hire someone, because this should be so embedded in who you are and what you do that each of your pie chart pieces should come fairly natural to you.
Gotcha.
Sure, you might need some tips on how to get the best pictures. Sure, you might need to find a cool software that will help you with graphic design. Those are sort of technical things. But to answer your question, for you, testimonials and lessons learned, you have a lot of those, and you have a very specific podcast segmentation of talking about basically testimonials through lessons learned conversations. And so I would love those together, because those are validating the happiness bucket, whereas your product and services and the actual did you know that we do a 2-hour consultation and we can solve one area in your life with these quick tips, and this is how much it is. That would be separate from validating you.
Gotcha.
And while everyone's going to walk away with some really good nuggets here, but you have to recommend, this is not cookie cutter. There is some work that you have to do to get this figured out. And that's why don't try to recreate the wheel in the sense that you're scrapping everything you've done, because everything you've done, there's validity there.
Right.
It's what you have. And then you can start to have more time, because the next couple slides are going to help you with the when question. And I'm going to show you how you can do this quickly too. Awesome. The what is what a lot of times people get stuck on. They're like, oh my gosh, it's Thursday. I haven't posted all week. Yeah. I better post a throwback Thursday because I don't know what else to do. Right. So this answers it keeps you in alignment with what you do and why you do it, because it's about you. It's not all of a sudden, people are talking about pineapple on pizza right now, so I'm just going to talk about it. Well, does that fall into a bucket that aligns with the happiness is buckets content mix strategy? Right. And it may or may not. So, okay. The other thing you'll see is that in the social media strategy document, we literally go through and create how to show these things. So how does chaos look on it's one thing to see it in a pie chart and see some words, but how does it look, right? And these are kind of silly and fun. We've already seen the one about tribe, right? We were talking about the tribe resonating with our audience. Going back to that first slide of some days I amaze myself, other days I put my keys in the fridge. This post right here, when someone's reading it, they're either going to scroll by fast because that's not them, or they're going to feel a sense of comfort that this brand gets me and I'm not alone. Right? Another chaos of someone who sees this shot and ultimately their heart sinks because they're like, oh, shit. Because literally the kid, this daughter is drawing all over the wall, and they resonate and relate to it. It's not selling a t-shirt. It's not. It's relating to the audience, right? Then we have some user generated. So this is an example of how a user might take a quick selfie, post it and tag it, and then that becomes user generated content that the brand can use. For you, Dana, the happiness bucket, I'm sure that you get clients or anyone who falls in your wake sending you screenshots of either like mine right now, I don't dare show you, my desktop before and after, right?
No, I would love to get more. I do get some occasional, but I'm going to tell you what the weirdness is for my clients. And it's not weirdness. I'm not talking about you guys, but people are afraid to show their mess. And that's what it's like. They're embarrassed. They don't want to show the mess. And so this brand is vibing with you right now. People are afraid to show the mess because we live in an insta-perfect world. Exactly.
This brand stands apart. Your brand needs to stand apart, that you can be the happiness bucket, but you have to recognize that if you're not there, we're going to get you there. Yeah. You have to start showing the chaos.
Yeah. And that's the part that I struggle with. Like I literally try to capture the little moments specifically in my home. I don't know if you saw the video of my daughter, we were doing her shoes and she was like, Mommy, no, I want to try it on. I know it fits. And she tried to put it on and literally her foot went like the shoe was halfway covering her foot and the rest was out. And it was just a funny moment. And I was like, ooh, this is a good one to just in that moment I happened to be recording, but I just don't have a lot, but I'm trying to get more. And I want people to send me.
Yeah. Well, I would say, ask for what you want. And it sounds like a simple thing, but literally make it part of your process. So for this brand, for Dangerous Designs, with every single shirt that was sent, even custom orders, a little card was sent in there incentivizing with a discount to take photos. You could even in your process encourage that part of your onboarding is I want you to take a screenshot of your desktop and I want you to go to your documents and downloads folders and I want you to take screenshots. You don't have to do anything. I just want you to have this because I want you to know that after your 60-day sessions with me or whatever it is, right? We're going to reflect on these. And then of course you speak to them about, and all of you, if you have businesses and you're wanting to do this, you speak to them about permission on how you can share it. Some people, I think too, in yours, you probably have a barrier you might run into where people are worried about showing some like digital organization because maybe they've got personal data in there and even the name of like the file
client or
exactly. And so of course, there are ways around that with like, hiding some things, but it all starts with asking for what you want. And it really does start with you understanding what you need, what your audience needs to see. This is a great example here that I'm showing again on the screen because there are not like, it's very clear. I need a photo. Okay. I need videos. Right. I need them of chaos, right? Your product. So you need, organize things, clean, organize, and then you need links. So going through quantifying what you have and what you need is going to be how you determine your what. Yeah. So once again, going through this and asking for it too. So, I would send you in a heartbeat my messy desktop and my thousands of tabs.
I'm waiting for it. I'm gonna put it on my list.
You're like, Dana's gonna ask me. So Tribe, right? Once again, here, just another example of, and you keep me on par too, Dana, with time. Okay. When kicks and screams turn to kisses and snuggles. So once again, solidifying and evoking an emotion and tying them in. So like your example of the putting on the shoes and her sense of like independence of no, Mom, I got this. I want to do it. That is a moment that you can share that it's like, we all feel we can do it alone.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
But, and it's finding these moments and like recognizing, well, what has she got? Why is she so adamant to this? Because we feel like we can do it alone. But if you've never been taught that a size 6 foot doesn't fit in a size 3 shoe, you might just keep trying to squeeze it in there. And you might keep thinking that you don't have to check your downloads file in every month or so and keep it clean. You might think that's where you just store it.
Right.
Never been told differently. I don't know your stance on that, but you don't want to see my downloads folder. It's almost like when people are talking with you, do they get like so embarrassed about their internal documents?
Yes.
That's too funny. And then once again here, you see, I'm showing you 6 examples of what this brand's social media like posts could look like. And we've got one here about product, right? And even in the product shot, we're showcasing some tribe. We're showcasing their above all, which is love for their kids, right? Okay. I hope you all are loving this. This I won't spend a ton of time on, but if you are struggling with hashtags, we do research and we start to quantify the popularity of those tags, and then we balance them with local or geographic tags. I would just recommend, don't feel like on your phone, if you're doing this from your phone or on your computer, don't feel like you have to recreate the wheel with your hashtags every time. Copy paste onto a notepad that you call my hashtag. Keep that document, go to it, copy, paste it. As you grow and you find more hashtags that work really well for you, add them to your script, add them to that notepad. As you see ones are creating too much junk, if you use a hashtag and all of a sudden your inbox gets flooded with, hey, be our influencer, or hey, do this, or spammy things, look at your hashtags. Look at what's bringing those in and try flushing some of that out. I won't spend a ton. There's, some platforms use hashtags, some don't. So I don't, with everyone using different platforms, I'll just state that's kind of my best little tip on hashtags for right now.
That's good.
So this is going, once again, it's math time. And I know none of us got through high school with the intention of ever using most of that math again, but I'm promising you this is basic elementary math. Just like the pie chart, we took basic math to get here. So remember our pie chart. We had 40% category of chaos, 30% category of tribe, 20 UGC, and 10 product. I make life easy because I don't like it to be confusing and hard. I'm assuming every month has 30 days because it's way easier that way. I do the math based on 30 days. 40% of 30 is 12. 30% of 30 is 9. 20
I love the way you slowed down when you said that.
Yeah, because I think we get really intimidated, and it's like this. We're just making this simple. Now, I will say, if you have some unique, percentages, and you're like 45, 12, things like that, which, trust me, I do have some clients who our percentages break down that way. You might run into some 0.5s and things like that. But remember, if you are posting daily, then, you're not going to have 1.5 because there's not posting half one day and half the other. So round up or round down based on what feels appropriate to the rest of it, or just go with the rule of thumb. And if it's 0.5, then go up. If it's 0.2, go down. Find your content calendar numbers that way. If you are going and posting 3 times a day, then do the same math but by 90 or times it by 3. So just break it down, start with how frequently you're posting, and then you take the percentage of your content mix and divide it by that. I feel like I might have created more confusion by giving some like going with the 90 days, but guys, just trust me.
No, I was with you. Yeah.
At the very least, just do this math based on the assumption you're doing it daily. If you don't execute daily, it's fine. I'll talk about that here in a second. So gold with that, just really simple and clean.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing I do, and I don't have it on this presentation. The next thing I do is, actually, guys, I want to pull it up. I'm just going to pull it up and share a different document. Give me a second here. I know this is why Dana prefaced with, this is a casual presentation.
Yes, it is very casual, and listen, we love the deep. So yes, we are all here for it.
I'm going to just pull up actually one of my clients. And I know that they are comfortable with me sharing. Actually, I think I need to stop sharing.
Stop sharing and then share again.
Then share again. I think, here's my stop share. Okay, bear with me, guys. We're going to share this document here. Okay, it should be fairly big. Are you seeing?
Yes, I can see it.
So real life example, another client who has taken the method that we just talked about to heart, and we created this pie chart for them, right? So we have 10%, 20%, 30% here, 15 and 15. Then what we do is we have, once again, right, the examples of how you show it for each category, right? Each category, similar to what we've seen. But we ultimately get to this page.
Yeah.
So this takes the brain work of what should I post today. We've color coded, and this actually would view a whole lot better if I can do 2 pages. Let's do that. Okay. Hopefully this isn't too tiny, but over here we have our key. Once again, guys, going back to elementary, we learn about a key. You know, if you see red, that means that it's, you know, danger. If you see blue, it's a river on a map, right? Those sort of things. So, good. I'm like, I'm such a cheesy dork. It's true though. So right here, we have our categories, our key. So Shaymel, the name of the company, is one of her categories. We've got 20% and it's 6 times per month. So then over here, we have, and I'll be honest, these icons are a little small to see and their colors are a little similar. So, but we can see that like the 6th, this is actually the first time we see the gray. So on Friday the 6th, I'm going to my Shaymel category and it's right here. I hope this isn't going too crazy fast.
No.
And I'm going to talk about my team, maybe share some bios or history, this is a salon. So maybe in the Shaymel, Chelsea is one of their staff members. Maybe Chelsea is talking about her favorite product or her favorite way to style her hair quickly in the summer, right? And then we go back to our calendar here and we are now on the 11th. Well, this color, this kind of peachy color, this actually indicates their spa category. And they're talking about the spa during this moment. So this is how you take those percentages. And so just like here, we have 20% equals 6. You will only find 6 of those on this calendar.
And now, is there a rhyme or reason? Like when you, let's say the 6 was the top number, how do you choose which day, or does it matter to plug it into your calendar?
So to start, I just do an even distribution of them. I put all of them on the calendar. So like if you're doing this tactile at home, and you have 4 categories, grab 4 colored markers or grab 4 sticky note pads and start pushing them on. I use my software. I actually just can throw these all on the calendar and then rearrange as needed. But the rule of thumb for me is a couple of your categories might be date dependent. So this brand in particular has some things that happen on certain days because of the specials that they offer. You also, one of their categories is to speak to holidays and to speak to birthdays and things that unite them with their audience. And so those obviously are going to fall on specific days. I don't try to make it too hard to where there's a science behind this, because then it takes the simplicity out of it.
Gotcha.
I want you to start and evenly distribute them so that you don't have 3 days in a row of the same content mix. If you do that, what happens is if somebody isn't drawn to, let's say you're putting 3 product posts in a row. I said 3 and I went 4. Let's say you're doing 3 product posts in a row. You might lose a follower because all of a sudden it's buy my cheeseburger, buy my cheeseburger, buy my cheeseburger. The whole point of why we have the content mix is because we understand our audience is using social media not to be sold to. They want to enjoy social, but we also recognize as a business that we want to utilize it to benefit our products that we sell or services that we offer. So you have to balance that. And that's how this helps you with that.
Got you.
I know I changed gears there, but did that help kind of showing the calendar?
It's more just random. And if you have some set dates, you pick the set dates and then kind of work around what you're doing. Yeah.
And I wouldn't say random, right? Be intentional about it. So if you're closed on Sundays, then and one of your categories is to promote a specific service and you want to evoke like people to book, I wouldn't do that on a Sunday, because unless you have an automated service that's answering the phone on Sundays, or if you have a really easy online booking system, be mindful of when you're putting content out.
Right.
But at the same time, just doing it and starting is going to be better than panicking and freaking out that you haven't posted in a week. And I know I promised earlier of how to do this quickly. When you are working on your social and you've determined your categories, I want you to start with one and create all 6 first. Keep your, just like with organization, keep your brain on one task, complete that instead of bouncing around and doing. So like Shaymel here, we've got 6. 6 team members, work on the content for those 6, schedule it, move on to the next category, move on to education, right? Gotcha. Now think about this. What educational pieces can I put out? Okay, what are the top, so we'll happiness bucket. We're talking about education on organization. So I'm going to do 3 this month. So I know we're coming into spring, and I know spring cleaning is on the top of everyone's list. So I'm going to talk about the top 3 places that people forget during spring cleaning. Write the 3 and scatter them in the month instead of putting them all 3 in a row.
All in the one.
Right? We do it all 3 in a row. Now all of a sudden you've given them all the answers in 3 days. Well, what are they? I mean, they're of course you're going to keep coming back because you just gave them some value. But along the way in between, we could have been talking about some other things that were of high value, or that would have solidified their loyalty to your content and to ultimately the happiness bucket. So I guess I just don't want to leave with the impression that it's completely random, but it's starting somewhere is better than not.
Gotcha.
If you miss a day, just everything, or just skip it. Yeah. And go on to the next one. But what I will say, and I think I can probably stop sharing my screen. What I will say is that if you find that you are struggling in a category, or if you are skipping the same category every day and you're not pre-planning, right? And you're just going to your calendar and you're like, oh, okay, it's testimonials today. Oh, I don't know where I kept those. And I know Steph said something really nice to me, but was that on Google or was that on Facebook? If you're doing that, one, doing them all at the beginning will ultimately save you time, right? Or doing them all at one time will ultimately save you time because you're not rethinking that each time.
Right.
But I want you to listen to, why is this hard? Right? If you're skipping days because a category is hard for you, you need to evaluate the intention behind it and the need for it. I'm not saying you get rid of it. You have to determine its need and value. And then if it's very high in need, it's really important that that content mixes out into the world. We have to work on a solution on how to get that and make it easier for you. All right. I feel like I want to ask you, did I leave some holes? Like how are you feeling? That was a lot spewed at you.
No, I think it was great because I mean, ultimately, I can talk about my particular posting history, the history of THB posting.
Yeah.
I in the beginning, I really did struggle because it was like, okay, you have to post every day and you have to, you go through this pressure that kind of, I'll say the quote unquote industry puts on you. And in reality, every brand is going to be different. And, I don't necessarily post every day, and I definitely don't post multiple times a day. I'm just not that person. And so just being able to make that shift into thinking. I love the grid and being able to kind of plug those in an easy, visual, because I'm a very visual person, and being able to say, okay, I've got, my 6 for the month, let me move on. Or maybe I do a lot of batching. So,
Yes.
I may do like 20 quotes, like that. It's not a big deal. But then being able to look on the calendar and say, okay, if I've got 20, I've got, 4 months worth of posts for quotes, and I've got that over here. And now I can focus on the others that, may take me a little bit longer to create. So I think that that's a really good lesson, if you will, for others who have struggled with that as well.
Well, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, but you might see a brand. I see it a lot in influencers who are just starting out. They'll go and they'll take a photo shoot, a personal branding photo shoot. And I am all for it. But then all of a sudden, for the next 3 weeks, you're seeing a new picture from the same shoot, maybe different outfit, but you can tell it's the same shoot. And it's back to back to back.
Back to back to back. Yeah. Yep.
And then we have a lull. I want, the whole point of that pie chart is to help you pepper out your content.
Right.
And so, these like you might have a day where you're just feeling like stunning and like you're just selfieing like crazy. Just save those, right? Or if you are investing in images of, your products or services, if you are like for the happiness bucket, it would be a really cool thing to, have a few, obviously with respect of what we can do health wise and safety wise, have a few of your clients, fly them in for a day or something like that. Or if they're local, bring them in for a day and literally hire a photographer to come and pull out a bunch of manila folders and papers and sticky notes and just have some fun. And then pepper those in. Don't post all of them in that one day. Right. That's the thing we get with social. We get really sucked into the instant gratification, like need it now. That brand, the second brand I showed you, the hairstylist, they'll take photos of their hair that they've done for that day and they'll want to post it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I want them to see right now. It's like, no, just give it. Yeah, I get you with that.
And so this helps kind of force you into holding content and releasing it with intention.
Yeah. I have one client and post the exact same image over and over and over again. And I get image fatigue, right? Because you've seen it and you're just like, I've seen this. Let me just scroll past it. And I don't think they're realizing how that is affecting the person who's viewing it. And it's for the same event or the same purpose, if you will, but it's the exact same image. I'm like, you need something else because this is not stimulating the mind to even read it, anymore.
For sure. And we do get brand fatigue, and it's a combination of just repetitiveness, but then it's also, like we are seeing so much visual, like, part of Viim is visual. And it really is rooted in the graphic design and photography part of me. And that is something that you have to, for your social, you do need to invest in some. I'm not saying you have to hire, hundreds of thousands of dollars of photography and videography throughout the year, but maybe take a $99 course on how to better your
better pictures
here, right? And also
we have some powerful tools in our hand,
Yes. With my very first camera had way less megapixels than these things have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really just a matter of thinking with intention. And I think too, we are at a disservice as like, so for you, seeing that moment with your daughter in her shoes, and seeing that and being able to pull ourselves out and see how that would relate to our audience. It's easier said than done. And that's why having the strategy broken up and understanding what does my audience need to see and hear, you can look to that and say, how can I find that in this moment?
And that you hit the nail on the head on that, because there are some things that we do, as a mom, I just want to be in the moment with my kid, right? Or I just want to be in the moment with my family, or I just want to get this done. But having to pause and take the pictures, and I say having, and it's not, a lot of times in that particular situation, it just so happened we went in with the intention of recording her going through her shoes. She knew that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
But the moment she was like, no, I really want to try them on. That was it was not staged. It was very natural. It just so happened that we were recording at the time, And so I think that's important too, of just the staginess of some things that I'm seeing out there that I'm like, if this was obviously staged, this was not a genuine moment. And that is part of my brand identity of just saying, it's not about having a magazine perfect home or having a magazine perfect, image of your file structure or whatever. It's about what is really truly going to work for you as an individual in your environment. And so I do want to capture some of the things that just don't look perfect. It's organized from our perspective, but from your perspective, you may say, well, that's not really all that organized, but did you see what it looked like before? So being able to capture those. I loved your idea of getting people to take before pictures, and if they're willing, send them to me, as long as it doesn't have any, identifiable information in it. Right. I think that would be really good because you can see it from other people's perspectives.
For sure. Yeah. And I think too, like I had a client who wanted to refer me, and he tried. He was telling about Viim to someone, I don't know their name, but she went and perused and checked out my stuff, and she had said, well, why would I want to hire her? She hasn't posted in several weeks, which is true as far as like the one platform that this individual must have been looking at. But what that individual didn't see was my daily, several times a day stories, or, my Google My Business pages and all of these other things. And so the point of bringing that up is just like for you, like social for you in organizing, and where one person's organization can look exactly like what they want it to look and perform exactly how they want it to perform. The same goes with everyone's social. To me, it's about intention and just figuring that out first, and then living that through the action. Right. You don't have to post every day. You don't, you might post multiple times a day. You have to. Social media is one piece in your marketing strategy. It should be fueling multiple. It should all hub and spoke to a central intention, right? Maybe it's your website where you sell your products or service. Maybe it's a brick and mortar where people come and shop. Maybe it's a blend of both, but everything should be pointing to your hub. And so there could be a very intentional, and I'm not going to try to claim that my 2-week hiatus for that was intentional for some big grand like campaign or something, but it needs to work for you. And that's the piece that I think, some people have zero social media as part of their marketing strategy. I'm here to tell you, as somebody who is a marketing agency who you think would want to say everyone needs to have it, I'm not about that. Right. I'm about finding out what truly is going to be what you need, what works with you, where you're at now, and making that come to life.
I really love that, because I think the key word that you're using is intention is so important. I followed this one individual, and she has made it abundantly clear. She has some medical situations going on, and she, part of her branding is, listen, I break the rules. Yeah. And if I feel like posting today, I'm going to post today. If I don't, oh, well, no big deal. But that is part of her brand. She has made that abundantly clear throughout. And it's like, if you don't like this part of me and my brand, then I'm probably not the person for you, because I break the rules in all the things I do. Yeah. But that is what her bread and butter is teaching you how to break the mold when it comes to doing things in your business, and not necessarily having to follow what everybody else does. Somebody has done something for the first time that becomes successful, and everybody else starts following. Somebody has to be the first. And so why not you, So I love that. Well, Steph, this has been awesome, as I knew it would be.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, like I said, I really hope that anyone listening, watching back, if I hope it helps. I promise you, if you try, it goes in alignment with the happiness buckets values of really, this is about organizing. It is going to take some initial work don't be afraid of the initial work.
Right.
It will pay off in the end 1,200 fold.
Mm-hmm. The return on investment. I mean, seriously, when I finally got kind of the package of understanding, you know, here are my brand colors, here are the fonts, here are all the, you know, categories that I want to use. Like that has helped make things so much easier with not only my marketing from a standpoint of social, but just from my business in general. It has really tied a lot of things together and made it so much easier going forward. And especially like when I was working with my website designer, just some of the things that we were really working through with that, it made it a lot easier.
For sure.
As far as that was concerned. So I don't want to get off of here without you telling people how they can, first of all, who is your target market? Okay. And then how people can work with you and connect with you.
Yeah. So I love the example that you gave of the other agency or company that breaks the mold, because I feel like I do that a bit. I am a marketing agency where I won't just make you a logo or just help you with a brochure. I really, in order to work with us, you start with a brand identity. So my ideal client is a company that has been either starting off at the ground level and want this solid foundation and is ready to invest in it as a long-term piece of their brand. Or someone who started, has gone a few years, maybe has some employees, is making the 6-figure plus annual revenue and is ready to up level and evolve into really showing who they are through their brand identity. So there's no, I don't want to say there's no industry that I wouldn't work for. That's not necessarily true, but I have a variety of industries that I've loved working with. And so really, I just am open door with conversations around, you know, what it is that you sell, what industry you're in. But if you want them to help you with social media, you start here. If you want them to create you a branding brochure or a brochure that sells your products and services, you start here. I could go on and you think you get the idea. This is where we start, because if I am a general contractor and you're hiring me to build a home, we're not starting with what color is the bathroom tile. We're starting with the blueprints, the foundation, and the structure of what will be in the end. So I'm different in that sense, that I really am looking for businesses who are ready to up level to that. And then did I miss an answer there?
Just your contact information.
Okay. The obvious call to action here. So the best way to get a hold of me is to go to getvim.com. So if you're trying to get me, go to Get Viim, and Viim is visual, V, I for intentional, I for integrated, M for marketing.com. Think Vim and vigor. So Vim is actually an English word, and it's enthusiasm. But we added that extra I because intention was so deeply embedded in my core values that it had to be in the name.
Intention, yes, that definitely has to be there. Definitely. Well, thank you so much for teaching us today and joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I know that our audience is going to love and receive it wholeheartedly. So thank you so much.
I would love to hear if anyone gives you feedback or if anyone tries this, and I mean, trust me, you will be happy. I would love to hear how it's working for you.
Awesome. You guys heard the call to action. Make it happen, right?
Yeah.